All right, so today we're going to be talking about journey mapping. This little bite-sized video is going to give you an intro to it and just show you everything you're going to need to get done before you actually go and interview your respondents. So what is journey mapping, why we need it, and how we use it? So journey mapping is going to be a visualization of somebody's journey through a process. This could be any process like a new hire onboarding or a customer journey through a store. For the example we're going to use today, I'm going to use the sophomore year experience of college. So a whole year, and then your final output is going to look something like this, where you're kind of breaking things into different times and mapping people's journey through it. So why do we do journey mapping? It's going to be so that we can improve our processes. We want to gain insight into people's thoughts, feelings, actions, going through a certain process so that we can improve it for people in the future. And then how do we do journey mapping? It's going to be a lot of surveying and interviewing, asking a lot of questions, and then compiling that into usable data that you can kind of then put in a digestible format like this. So first thing you want to consider when you're doing your journey mapping is going to be your surveys. So you want to ask your respondents like kind of basic questions like demographic questions, general like age, ethnicity, gender, income, things like that. And then for our example, more specifically with sophomore year, we can ask them like degree, are they in Greek life, how many credits are they taking, and things like that. And then we ask these questions because we want to connect certain responses to certain personas. So for sophomore year example, someone who is a junior that's taking this survey for whatever reason might have a very different experience than the current sophomores because, things change year by year. So we want to kind of connect certain responses to certain personas, and it just helps improve our interpretation as a whole. Next up, we're going to want to think about the foundations of our map. You're going to want to start with your phases here. I used 4 as a baseline. I think this works pretty well because you have a beginning, end, and then 2 middle parts that you can kind of break up. These need to be really clear cut and recognizable so that your respondents are kind of not giving you very broad answers and they can think more specifically during a specific time. Next, you want to think about the swim lanes that you're doing. These are going to be like what give you your valuable answers in your journey map. We used a baseline of 4 here because we found that more than that, certain respondents get less engaged. People just don't want to participate in this activity anymore. And then you also want to consider, you want raw answers from these people. You don't want to sway their opinions. You are going to have to ask like prompting questions and give examples, but you don't want to sway what they're giving you one way or another, and keep your own biases out of it. And then finally, you do want to ask their opinions because they've already been through this process that you're trying to improve and gather data on, so they likely already have a lot of ideas on how to make it better. You don't have to take these at face value, but it's something to consider in your interpretation. And then we'll move on to our final prepping. You're going to want to prepare some prompting questions for your facilitation when you're gathering all this data from them. You want to be prepared to ask respondents to dig a little deeper and give them examples of things that they could have been thinking so that it kind of prompts them to be like, oh, yeah, I was doing that, or things like that. And then you want to also delegate your roles. So play to each other's strengths here. If you're in a team setting, the facilitator should be someone who's comfortable speaking in public, charismatic, so they can keep people engaged, and really good on their feet, and they can answer questions. So you're also going to want to have someone handing out surveys and collecting them, and then matching certain IDs with certain answers and things like that. And then you also want to have somebody collecting these responses and kind of analyzing them as you go so that they can relate to the facilitator. You need to prompt them deeper on this or this. And then the last thing, you just want to finalize all your materials. You have all your ducks in a row. Do you have everything you need for facilitation, like your prompting questions and an introduction so that respondents know what's going on? Do you have a means of collection? This could be sticky notes on a board like this one, or it could be digital and you're collecting responses online. And then, is it organized enough for you to interpret it? Do you have folders organized? Is it compiled in the right places? Everything you need to move forward. So that should be everything, and you should be all set to move on to your facilitation session.